Muse for you, awesome websites without code.
Hey, what's up musers? This is John at Muse for you, here to help you build awesome websites without code. And I have a really fun video tutorial for you today. We're going to be going over the full screen split slider widget found at museforyoushop.com. So this is a really unique slider. It splits the image in half as you're going through it. So I'll show an example. So here I'm scrolling with my mouse wheel, and as I scroll, we can see the image changes. And then we have the title in the middle so that the user can see the title there. You can either make it a title of the image or the title of a page that you want that image to link to. So for example, for this website, I use the slider as a homepage starting menu. So we have home, we have contact, videos, and photos. So actually it should be kind of go in this direction. So it's home, photos, videos, and contact. So when you click on any of these images, it takes you to that particular page. So I'll go to photos. We can see it goes to the photos page, and I can go to videos, and it'll take us to the videos page. So it can make for a really unique homepage starting menu. And over here to the right, you can also change the slides with this navigation here on the right. And this slider is responsive, so as you resize the browser, it'll fit any screen size, so it'll fit any device as well. There we go. And at the 768 breakpoint, you can change the size of the text so it gets smaller to fit smaller devices. So it looks good. So I also have the slider on my iPhone 5S just to show as an example. So on touch devices, this slider changes when you swipe up or down. So here I'm swiping, and we can see the slide changes. I can also click, and it takes us to that page, or touch the title there, and it takes us to that page. All right, looks good. So this is on an iPhone 5S, and I'm just swiping with my finger. I'm dragging up to change the slide. So it can make for a really unique homepage, or any page. You can add the slider and have the user either scroll with their mouse wheel with the navigation, or on touch device they can swipe to change the slide. So I'll just go back here to the widget page, and I'll just read the features that are included within the widget. So you can add a full screen split slider. You can choose from 1 through 12 images. You can change the speed of the slider movement. You can change the slide with the mouse wheel or swipe on touch devices. You can link the images to an internal link, external link, or anchor point on a different page. You can open the link in a new page. You can set a custom cursor over the images. You can set the navigation color. You can choose from over 600 Google fonts for the text. You can set the color of the text. You can set the font size, font weight, font styling, letter spacing, line height, and you can disable the slider at a certain breakpoint and change the font size at the 768 breakpoint. And there was an update recently as well, so you now have more control over the speed of the left and right slider, and the issue with the text speed not changing has been fixed as well. So in this video tutorial, I'm going to showcase where to access the widget and how to use it. So let's begin. So here I'll just open up Adobe Muse. Here I have a blank site. Before we add the widget, the first step is to gather the images for the slider. So a website I like to use is called unsplash.com. They have really nice images, really high quality images that you can use for free in your projects. So they're just really professional quality photos. And when you first download the photos, sometimes they're really large. It seems like they're taken directly off the camera because the file size is large. It's like some of them are 5 or 6 megabytes, and the width and height are super large, like 4,000 by 2,000, just really large sizes. So here I have a few examples. What I like to do when I download images from Unsplash is I like to resize them first. The largest width I like to make my images is 2048 pixels in width. So on a Mac, you can change the size with the preview function on a Mac. So if I right click on the image, go to open with, and click on preview, it'll open up in preview. So here I have the image, and here I'll go to tools, adjust size, and here I can change the width and height of the image. So I've already done it for all the images that I downloaded. So the width is 2048, and here I make sure that the width and height are constrained so that the height changes as well when the width changes. The resolution can stay at 72. I believe for screens, 72 is fine. 300 resolution or 300 DPI is more for print. So I think that's correct there. You might want to look that up as well though, but I leave it at 72 there, and it really reduces the size of the image. So once that's done, once I've resized all the images, I take a look at the size. I like my images to be around 200 to 300 kilobytes if they're really large. We can see we have 762, 4.5, that's way too big. Quite a few of these are at 300. We have 200, and this one's fairly large. So along with resizing, changing the size of the image, what I like to do as well is go to compressjpeg.com, and this compresses the images even more. So you can just drag and drop the image here where it says drop your files here. Just drag and drop, and it'll compress the JPEG image. If you have PNG images, you can go to compresspng.com as well. But this compresses the image, and it tells you the percentage at which it was compressed, which is really good. So like if I drop, any of these images, it tells me it compresses it, and then it says, okay, reduced it by 27%, which is really good. So I can even make the images smaller in size so that my load times are really good for my website. So I've already done that. I've compressed all the images, and if we go through the size, we can see they've reduced quite a bit. So that 4.5 megabyte image is now 706. I believe this is the one. Let me see. Derek Lang here, and the 4.5 megabyte image. Actually, that was a zip file, so yeah, that made sense. I didn't think an image was that large there. But here we can see the size has been reduced quite a bit. So I like to use compressed images and that have also been resized. So I've gathered the images for the slider. I'm only going to use 4 of these images. Here I have 15. For this demonstration, I'm going to add 4 images so we can take a look at the slider. So let's move on to step 2. Step 2 is dragging and dropping the widget into Adobe Muse. So to do that, I'm just going to go into the library panel. And if you don't see the library panel here on the right, you can go to Window and click on Library. And here in the search, I'm going to type in Fullscreen Split Slider. And then we have the Fullscreen Split Slider widget. So here I'm going to click, hold, and drag, place onto the Adobe Muse website. And just like that, we have the full screen split slider added to the website. So this widget does take up the entire browser, so you can't have anything below the browser. It's literally just for like a home page because you can't have other elements below it. You can have elements on top of it, and I'll go over that in a second. But if we preview, we already have the slider. We don't have any images, but you'll notice things are moving within the site. So we've done step 2, which is drag and drop the widget. Let's move on to step 3. Step 3 is adding the images. So here I'll open the widget by clicking on this blue circle with the arrow. And here we have the different options. So we have slider, text, navigation, cursor, and then we have image 1 through 12 right down here. And we have breakpoint and linking. So I'm only going to add 4 images because if we look in the slider, here it says select number of images. We have 4 selected, but you can choose from 1 through 12. For now, I'm going to leave it at 4, and we're just going to add 4 images. So I like to add the images first because it lets me see the title a bit better and the navigation. So here to add an image, we'll just click on image 1. And here we can add a title, we can select the image, and here we can add alternative text so that on screen readers that don't show images, the alternative text will show instead. And here we can link the image to an internal page, external page, or anchor point. And right here in the widget, if you go on right down here, click on linking more info, it shows you or tells how to link to an internal page. So it's ./pagename.html. So for example, if the page name is about us, the link would be ./about-us.html. The home page is always ./index.html. Linking to external pages is HTTP or HTTPS, and then the URL. And then linking to anchor points is the hashtag anchor. So you can't link to anchor points on the same page, but you can link to an anchor point on another page. So that would be ./ the name of the page, hashtag and then the anchor, and then if the user clicks to go to that page, it'll go to that specific anchor point on that page. So if the anchor point's lower, it'll go lower within the page to go to that anchor point. All right, so that's how we add the title, image, and the link. And you can also open the link in a new page. So rather than opening it on the same page, it can open in a new page. So here I'll just go ahead and add the 4 images in the title. So I'll say home, click add file. Here I'm in the compressed JPEG folder, so I'll just select an image and we'll go to image 2 and I'll call this photos, click add file, and I'll select another photo here, open image 3, this one I'll say videos for the title, click add file, and I'll select this image here, and then I'll add image 4, and this one I'll say contact, add file, and I'll select this one here. All right, looks good. So just like that, we have a full screen split slider on our website. So I'll go to file right up here and I'll go to preview page in browser. And if I scroll, we have that split slider. Looks good. So now let's move on to step 4 and work with the slider options. So here within the widget, I'll open the widget options. So we can set the left slide speed, the right slide speed, the text speed, and the number of images. So for the left slide speed, these values are in milliseconds. So 1000 milliseconds equals 1 second. So I can make it really slow. So I can change it to 2000, and the right slide speed, we'll say 3000, and the text speed, we'll say 2000. So everything will just shift really slowly. So if I scroll, we can see everything moves really slow. And I can also click on the navigation to change the slides. All right, looks good. So that's the slider options. You can set the speed of the slide movement. So now let's move on to step 5, which is working with the text. So here I'll go into the widget option and we'll go to the text section here. Here we can see it says Google font name and Google font family. So to change the font for the title within the slider, you simply click on Google Fonts right down here, and then we'll search for a font. So let me just find a font here. So here I have the font Cinzel. So to select that font, you simply click on this plus symbol here, and then right down here it says one family selected. So just click right there, and then here where it says font family, you want to copy everything after font family and before the semicolon. So I'll copy Cinzel serif. So here I'll hit Command C to copy, or it's Control C if you're on Windows. Then I'll go back into Muse, open the widget, go into the text, and here where it says Google font family, I'll paste that in. So I'll hit Command V or Control V if you're on Windows. And then for the font name, we'll just call it Cinzel because that's the font name. So the Google font family is Cinzel, serif, and the font name is just Cinzel. And here you can change the text color, the font size. The font size is in pixels. You can change the font weight, so 400 is normal. Anything less than 400 is thinner. Anything greater than 400 is bolder. And there's also a document within the widget folder that explains how to add the Google fonts and to change the font weight as well. And then we have font style, so you can select from normal, italic, and oblique. You can set the text transform to uppercase, lowercase, or none. If it's set to none, then it'll just register exactly what you type for the title. So if the title has lowercase and uppercase letters, that will register and will show within the title. You can change the letter spacing, which is the distance between the letters, and the line height. Okay, so that's the text option. So let's see how that looks like within the browser. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser. And we can see the text has changed for the slider. And if I scroll with my mouse wheel, it changes the slides. Looks good. So with the line height, you'll just want to make sure some text works differently, but 1 is usually a good line height for all the text. If you have it less than 1, it might get cut off a bit. So we can see the next word a little bit because the line height isn't fully 1 there, which matches the font size. So you can just leave it at 1 and it should work for pretty much all the fonts. All right, so we'll leave the line height at 1 and the tracking is 20, so there's 20 pixels in between the letters. So now let's move on to step 6 and work with the navigation buttons. So here I'll open the widget and I'll click on navigation, and here we have navigation color. So here you can set this color to anything. So I'll set it to red, and if I preview in the browser, we now see that these navigation buttons are red. So you can set that to any color. I like it to be the same color as my text, so I'll go ahead and change it back to white. So now let's move on to step 7 and work with the cursor that's over the slider. So here I'll open the widget options. I'll go to the cursor section, and for the cursor type, you can select from these icons here. So we have some predetermined icons, or you can add your own image for the cursor by clicking here, clicking add file to add your own image for the cursor. If you do add your own image, the image has to be 128 by 128 pixels or less. So I'll just change it here just as an example. I'll change it to this progress cursor here. So let's see how that looks. So now we have this progress icon for the cursor. I'll go ahead and change it back to the pointer. So I'll go here where it says select cursor type, and I'll change it back to pointer. I like having the pointer because it usually refers to a link. Like if you ever hover over a link, it has a pointer, and having the pointer over the image lets the user know that this area might be clickable, so that they can click on the image and go to the page that image is linked to. All right, so now let's move on to step 8 and adjust the slider across different breakpoints. So if we go to the slider now and I resize, we can see that at the 768 breakpoint, here, let me just open this here. So if I resize at 768, the text changes. So you can actually set the size of that text when the browser gets to the 768 breakpoint. So to do that, open the widget, and then right here we'll click on breakpoint. So you can set the font size at the 768 breakpoint, and you can disable the slider at a specific breakpoint. So first we'll change the font. Let's say you wanted the font to be a bit smaller to look a bit better on smaller devices. So there I changed it to 30 pixels, and if I preview, we're going to notice that font is a bit smaller. There we go. And I can go through and change the slides as well. All right, looks good. I'm going to change the speed real quick. We'll say 950 and 1000, and here I'll say 900. Okay, just so the slider is a bit quicker. All right, so there we changed the font size, and let's say we wanted to disable the slider for mobile devices or smaller devices. You could click here, disable at breakpoint, and it will disable when the breakpoint is less than 480 pixels. So I'll go back here and I'll preview, and there we see the slider is not visible, or we don't have the slider. And once we reach the 480 breakpoint, so I'll resize. Once I reach 480, we have the slider again. And once we get to the 480 breakpoint, the slider is disabled, so you can have a completely different website for smaller devices that are less than 480 pixels in width. All right, so those are the breakpoint options. And one last thing I'll show is how to link to an internal page. So I'll go back to the plan view, I'll create a page, and I'll call it photos. And I'll just add a rectangle here. Close the library panel, and we'll fill it there. And perfect. Make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Go back to the plan view. And to link to that photos page, so I believe it's image 2, here in the title link, I'll just type in ./photos.html. If it had 2 words, let's say for instance it was called our photos, you can just type in r-photos. So if it's 2 words, you want a dash in between the words, and it can be all lowercase. All right, so there I've changed the title link. So now I'll go to File. When you're previewing multiple pages, you'll want to click on Preview Site in Browser so that all the pages render, and you can click in between the pages and go to the different pages on your website. So I'll click Preview Site in Browser, and let's make this wider to see the slider, and I'll scroll down to Photos, and when I click, it takes us to that page. So that's how you link to internal pages. All right, so we've gone over all the options for the full screen split slider widget. I think it's a really fun slider. It can make for a really unique homepage. I like the idea of using it as a homepage starting menu, so the user can go to the site and they can scroll, and then when they click on the different titles and images, it'll take them to another page on the website. You can also use it for just any page and just have a nice slider on your website. So that's it for this video tutorial. To access the full screen split slider widget, you simply go to museforyoushop.com, and here you can click on join today, and here you can click subscribe now to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. And here we have the full screen split slider widget, and here you can click add to cart to purchase the widget individually, or again you can click subscribe to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Here are the features included, a few of the widget options, the community section if you had any questions about the widget, and this video will be right here as well. So that's it for this video tutorial. Again, I do this to help you build awesome websites without code. If you like this video tutorial, you can subscribe below. Also in the show more section are links to other resources and links to museforyoushop.com. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial. Thank you.
Muse for you, awesome websites without code.